The Women Behind the Pain by Jay Shifra. The three women behind female oppression from my paper: Dorothy Allison, Charlotte Perkins Gilman, Zora Neale Hurston. Dorothy Allison. She's self-described as a feminist and a working-class storyteller who writes to change the world. The truth behind the story, Bastard Out of Carolina? What was her inspiration for such a sorry tale? Well, it was her life. That was her inspiration. She was born April 11th, 1949, in Greenville, South Carolina. Her mother was Ruth Gibson Allison. Her mother was poor, unmarried at 15 when Dorothy was born. So, her early life mirrored much of the story of Bastard Out of Carolina. She had an abusive stepfather, and to escape this life, she escaped it by excelling at school and being very gifted in writing. She went to college based on scholarships based off of these gifts, where she discovered a love of women and her true calling, feminism. Graduated, moved to New York to pursue a master's in anthropology. There she wrote articles for magazines. She currently lives in San Francisco with her partner and her partner's child. She maintains speaking tours and teaches in the spring to occupy much of her free time. Charlotte Perkins Gilman. She was born July 3rd, 1860 in Hartford, Connecticut. She published the Yellow Wallpaper in 1892. She was a social activist in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Father left when young. Childhood was extremely difficult for her. She moved around a lot, so her education suffered. Her later life. She married Charles Stetson in 1884, had a daughter named Catherine. During that marriage, she had multiple episodes of severe depression. The treatment was very unusual, and it was extremely tough on her. The experiences that she went through for her treatment are believed to be the inspiration for the Yellow Wallpaper. She divorced Charles in 1892. She later remarried to her cousin George in 1900. A little weird. Stayed together until her death in 1934. Oh, sorry, this is kind of weird. Had inoperable breast cancer, committed suicide in August 17, 1935. Zora Neale Hurston. Born January 7th, 1891, but she claimed she was born in 1901. She attended school in Eatonville, Florida until the age of 13. Her mom died young and her home life became very toxic, so she ran away and joined the traveling circus. She ended up in New York during the Harlem Renaissance. Whoopsies. Her life after New York. She attended Howard University from 1921 to 1925, then Moore College at Barnard College until 1928. In 1934, she published her first novel, Jonas Gourdvine. She worked for the Library of Congress. She was barely remembered at death. She had a very promising start, but she didn't make much of it towards the end of her life. She passed away on January 28th, 1960. Similarities among the authors. Well, for all of them, their home life was a joke. Two of them had issues with parents. Mothers passing away, schooling got neglected because of all these issues. So what they did is they made it. They made schooling and writing the way to get through it. They used scholarships, they used their gifts to get through school and to become better people, to make their standard of living better. All of them had issues with men or had a difficult husband. One of them, Dorothy, she was so traumatized after what happened with her stepfather, she swore off men and became a lesbian and became a very well-known feminist. And Charlotte, sorry for the pause there. Charlotte, she got such a bad rap when getting treated for her postpartum depression that she married her cousin, which is a bit drastic. They were all outspoken feminists. They were all very influential in their spheres. And a main topic that they wrote about was male oppression. or male oppression of women, how men sought to control women through either fear or manipulation or just I love you and I know what's right for you, or just straight up physical and mental abuse like Sykes did to I can't think of her name right now, but I think it's Delia. So anyway, it's kind of my visual presentation on the three authors behind my paper and kind of how their life looked for a little bit. So thank you. And here are my sources.